Against women and the girl child. I have Betty Abba, a child and human rights activist. You're welcome to Panorama.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right. Now, the United Nations says that every 10 minutes a woman is killed, and this violence occurs in workplaces, online spaces, and from that report, the solution lies in robust responses. Now, with the laws already, put in place, why does violence against women still persist? Is it, the lack of enlightenment or enforcement?
I would say mostly the lack of enforcement.
Okay.
It's not enough to have laws. What makes the difference between a working society and a lawless society is the application of the law. We have all kinds of laws in Nigeria. They're mostly unimplemented, mostly unenforced. We have, like you mentioned earlier, the VAP Act, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015. But most of the time, they are not implemented. And one of the biggest factors is laxity on the part of law enforcement. Because if people who have been accused of crimes have not been prosecuted, they have not been shown consequences, there will not be deterrence. And so people think that they can commit crime, they can even kill and walk away.
Go away with it.
So that is a major issue that we have. So we need to strengthen our institution, mostly law enforcement. There's a lot of dysfunctionality, especially in the police force. I work in sexual violence, GBV, and we see a lot of that most of the time. When you have a situation where people win cases not because they are right or wrong, but because of the superior financial power they have. When justice goes to the highest bidder, it doesn't work. The citizenry needs to repose their trust in the institution, in the police force, in the judiciary.
Okay.
We need to have a sense that when you are hurt, you can go to the systems. There are support systems for you where you can report and you can get justice. So we really need to sort that out.
Okay. Now, let's identify some acts considered as acts of violence against women that are still in practice, in communities today, apart from the ones we already heard.
Of course, there's a lot of psychological violence. You know that the economy is in a very terrible state. And in so many homes, in so many setups, people who are losing their jobs, people whose businesses are crumbling, somehow believe that their house help, their wives have automatically turned witches. We'll have a trending story on a trending report on Twitter now of witchcraft branding and killing in Cross River State, where women have been accused of witchcraft and killed. And this has happened for 5-6 years now, and not a single one of the culprits has been brought to book. So we have witchcraft branding, we have psychological abuse, we even have spousal rape, which our laws have not criminalized, and people, husbands get away with it all of the time, and it's a major thing that we have to look at.
Okay. Now, you just talked of spousal abuse. Now,
Yes.
many frown when it is physical, but, think verbal
Yes.
is harmless
Yes.
in some communities. Is this right?
It's not harmless. We do not have to normalize violence in any form.
Okay.
We have to come to a point in our society where there's a lot of consciousness between what is right and what is wrong. And verbal abuse is a criminal action. And people have to be told that you cannot do that. I run a shelter, and what we've seen over the time, I run a women's shelter, and what we've seen over time is women coming in who have for a very long time normalize certain behaviors from their spouses, certain violence, until it gets to some point where their neighbors even have to intervene. Verbal assault, physical assault are the same thing, and they have to be criminalized. People have to know that this is wrong and that there are consequences for their actions.
Okay. These victims of all these forms of abuses, they oftentimes, keep such acts,
Yes.
to themselves for fear of, stigmatization and societal condemnation. Now, what should be the protective mechanism, for them in this case?
It's sensitization. People have to be sensitized. The fact that you are dying silently in your marriage is not right. People have to get over the fact that they can overcome societal stigma. Now, so many persons are dying or have died in abusive relationships, in abusive marriages, because they do not want to step out because for the fear of stigmatization. But I'll tell you that it's better to be a single mother, a divorcee that's alive, than a dead wife. So we have to come to the point where societal stigma, all forms of stigmatization, people overcome it.
Okay.
And like I say, I run a women's shelter, and it takes so many people such a long time to be able to come out of abusive relationship because they are afraid. And of course, apart from stigma, the fear of insecurity, especially when you have children in such relationship. I mean, the fear of tomorrow, how am I going to cope? And that's why there's a need to empower women educationally, skills development, so that they can be independent and take decisions for their own life, for their own safety.
Okay, thank you, Betty Alba. That's the much we can take on this. It's a very passionate topic, but we hope that robust responses will pick up from here on. Thank you for your time with us.
My pleasure.